Right to it, Super Bowl winning quarterback, Hall of Famer, just coming off a great Hall of Fame weekend in Canton. Kurt Warner joins us here on the Right to It guest line. Kurt, got the whole crew here, rocking Manuel with Jimmy B. How you making out? You recover from a long weekend in Canton?
Yes, it's been good. So just got back from a long trip to Europe and then bounced into Canton for a minute, and now we'll see where we go from here as we get ready for the season. So it's been a good off season. Excited about the NFL season around the corner, though.
So what are your job requirements this year? I mean, it seems like every year you keep adding something new. What is it? What are you going to be doing this year? Where are we going to be able to hear you and see you?
Yeah, I'm going to be doing a lot of the same stuff. I'll be on Sunday mornings on NFL Network. I'll be doing Monday Night Radio along with some Thursdays sprinkled in. I'll do some television stuff for the network. I'll be over at a couple London games, probably a Germany game, maybe even on Christmas. So, yeah, the slate is always full, along with a lot of Rice games this year and watching my son play.
Kurt, I got to ask you, with your QB Confidential you have on Twitter, I love looking at it, and I love forwarding it to a lot of guys. When do you have time to do that? Or is that already hay in the barn type of thing? Do you sleep? I mean, are you sleeping at all anytime?
Well, that is a passion. A lot of that is done in the off season. But, yeah, I'm in the middle of year 4. I'm almost done with year 4, which would probably be a 4-year program with some other stuff sprinkled in. So I've been doing it for the last number of years and just building it and adding to it. And it's just kind of a labor of love. The beautiful thing about that, Manuel, is that it's gonna live forever. So once you get it finished, it's something that will be out there. The same sort of stuff is going to be used for quarterbacks 20 years from now that's being used right now. So that's the beautiful part of it. I wanted to get it all down on video and have that, that library of things. And then from here on out, I can continue to promote it and get people connected to it and hopefully help them to be able to take the next step, whether they're a coach or a player or, even a fan that just wants to learn more about the game.
Kurt, you brought up EJ, and he transferred from Temple to Rice, so it's probably a lot easier getting to Houston than it was to get into Philly. How excited are you to see him take the next step? He's filling some big shoes with JT Daniels, who led the Owls to some success there last year. How excited is EJ to be at Rice?
He's excited. It's been really good. Temple was great for him. Being a little more under recruited and starting for 2 years and being a freshman All-American. Last year he was top 5 in the country in terms of pass yards per game. So 2 years, at Temple were great for him, just helping him to grow and becoming, kind of that next level quarterback. And I'm really excited for him at Rice. The transition's been really, really good for him. He's really connected with his teammates there. And then the football side of it, we'll see. We'll see where it goes. Marcus Tuiasosopo is the offense coordinator there, so there's a lot of pro-style stuff that they're going to be running. And so it's introducing him to a new offense and, more of the West Coast offense, which is great. I think it's always great to be able to learn and have a base of knowledge that extends. So I'm excited. They did have some success. We're a bowl team last year, and so they want to build off of that this year and next year. And EJ's excited. He got started camp, I think, last Friday, and they're excited to get going and compete this year.
Kurt, are you guys obviously on speed dial with each other, and having a Hall of Fame quarterback for a father changes a lot? Do you talk to him during the season that much? Does he, bug you about certain things, or do you try to stay in I guess, kind of under the radar a little bit?
Be honest, Kurt.
Yeah,
be honest
now.
That's
what I want to know.
Trust me, I do not stay under the radar at all.
Yes,
but a lot of it is by his choice. We watch practice every day. He wants to go over it and get my thoughts on it. We'll watch the game film obviously after every game and talk through the positives and the negatives. I'm always in, I'll be watching, game film or film of the teams that they're playing. I'll send him some different ideas. Who knows where they go? And, if he likes them or what have you. I had a relationship with, Coach Langsdorf, who was their offense coordinator at Temple. And so we would shoot ideas, back and forth, about the upcoming opponents. And, so I want to be involved as much as he or any of their coaches want me to be involved. I've always, reached out to coaches all over the country to say, hey, if I can be a consultant, if I can help you, probably my greatest passion is kind of watching film game planning and building plays and helping offenses to grow. So yes, I am all over it as much as he wants me to. Anytime he wants me to step back, it's easy for me to step back and just kind of to chill and be dad. But I love that aspect of things, and I love that he wants to learn. He's a kid that, unfortunately, I wish he would enjoy it a little bit more and realize how good he is. But most of us competitors will always kind of pick out the negative things, the bad things from the game. How do I get better? But, it's fun for me having that background to say, hey, how can I help my son to improve, to get better, continue to build his love for the game? And so we are talking all the time and, trying to help him to be the best that he can be.
Kurt, you've been so very, very gracious as far as guys I've sent, information. You like the Rocky, Lombardi's at Cincinnati's tape, or the Brock Purdy's or Tyler Shucks, and you're very willing to take a look at their film and break it down. I'm just very curious, where do you see, at what point, like your son EJ, are you seeing growth with those individuals? Is there a certain game or time frame where somebody go, wow, he gets it or he struggles here, whatever. And by the way, thank you so much for doing that.
Yeah, I think that's the goal, that we all have different skill sets. And we understand that. I think Brock's a great example. Everybody wants to kind of point the things that maybe he can't do instead of focusing on what he does really, really well. And, that's kind of what I'm always looking at, is that I have kind of a basis for how I see the game. That I believe that if you can process information and you can get the ball to the right guy at the right time, and your skill set, physically is good enough, you've always got a chance to be successful. And so Brock, although he does have some athleticism, I think we all realize he's more of a pocket passer. He's more of a timing, anticipatory type thrower, and he's had tremendous success over the first couple years. And you see that. You see why when you watch the tape. And so I'm always trying to illuminate that. And the same with EJ. I don't know if there's a kid in college that processes information as well as EJ. I watch all the NFL film, and he does it better than most guys at the NFL level, and that's the thing that I love, and I'm always focusing on with him is, hey, if you can do this and get the ball out on time and make the right decisions, you're always going to have a chance to play at a high level, whether it's at college or even an opportunity if given one at the NFL level, you'll have a chance to be successful. And so always trying to look at those things and push guys in those directions first. And then, as you said, you always point out, okay, this is an area that you can get a little bit better. This is where you can improve. So you always try to find that balance with these guys. And that, to me, is the fun part, is really letting guys know, hey, if you can continue to do this or you can grow in this area, you've got a chance to be really, really good.
Kurt Warner is our guest on the Right Toyota guest line. Kurt, let's go to the games that the guys are playing. And I'll ask you this one first right now, okay? Do you think that you were born at the wrong time with all the amount of money that is being spent on QBs?
Man, sometimes, yeah, man, it's amazing. But I think the thing that you always have to look at is you have to look at the guys that played a decade and 2 decades before you and realize how blessed you are because of what they did, and the amount of money and success that I was able to have in this league was because of the guys that went before me. And I like to think, what we did with the greatest show on turf and kind of ushering in a new NFL that's all about the quarterback and throwing the football first has really allowed guys now to create generational wealth. And so I think it's easy to look and go, man, it would have been nice to be 10 years later and what that would have done. But I also realize how blessed I am because of those that went before me. And you hope this next generation sees it the same way and is grateful to, guys like myself that kind of ushered in what is the new NFL and given them the opportunity to have the success that they've had.
With that said, Kurt, do you think the NFL's gotten too caught up in the running quarterback opposed to, the single callers that just like to throw that routine pass that can hit that every time?
Well, I'm never going to say too caught up because okay. I think in a perfect world, we would all love to have the Patrick Mahomes, the Josh Allens, the Lamar Jacksons of the world that can throw it, can play in the pocket, and can do these incredible things athletically. I just think the bottom line is those guys are rare they're going to still be rare. Even if we've got more athletes playing quarterback, guys that do what those guys do are still going to be rare. And so I think there's always going to be a place for the guy that can process information, the guy that can see things, the guy that can anticipate and be accurate with their throws. Guys like Brock, guys like Joe Burrow. And again, it's not that those guys don't have athletic ability. They're just not the greatest athlete on the field. And so you can't really live in that world. You've got to live in the world of playing more conventional quarterback. And so you see it all the time. I mean, Tom Brady, the greatest to ever do it, and just retired a couple years ago. I mean, the Matthew Staffords. I mean, there's guys all over this league that are pocket-first guys. And so there will always be a place for that because I still believe as great as, Patrick and Lamar and Josh are, when you watch them every week, they're best when they play the game in front of them. They're best when they play on time and on schedule, and then they'll give you 2 or 3 special plays a game. When they try to just go off script and be special, yeah, they can do some great things, but I still don't think they're the best versions of themselves. So when you talk about the pocket passer that plays on time, that understands what he's seeing and allows the guys around him to play, what I call make the layups, see the defense, make the decision you're supposed to make the throw on time, that always gives you the best chance to win. So, yeah, perfect world is give me all of it. But without a doubt, I appreciate the pocket passers, I think, because I played that way. But I appreciate it because I don't think it matters. All the quarterbacks in the NFL have to do that at some point, especially come playoff time if you want to compete for championships. So I don't believe that aspect of playing quarterback will ever die. It will always be the most important thing.
So leads me to my $64,000 question here, Kurt. So you look at Kyler Murray. How do you define him? We've seen fragmented sections. We haven't seen a full season. And on top of that, what needs, in your mind, to be the next step for Kyler Murray to be a successful quarterback?
Well, I mean, I think it is to be able to make the layups. And again, a lot of times when I say layups, everybody thinks that means the short 5-yard throws. That's not what I mean. What I mean by that is when you've got a particular play that's called and the defense dictates, hey, this is where the throw should go, you've got to be able to make those throws if guys are open time and time again. You've got to be able to accurately deliver the football, which isn't really an issue with Kyler. I mean, he's a gifted thrower, but I want to see him play more on time. I want to see him make more of those layups and allow the guys around him to, make plays for him. Too often I think he falls back into the playmaking Kyler Murray, which is obviously special, but as we've seen over the years, that's really hard to do when you're playing against the best teams in the world, when you're playing against the top teams in the league, to live in that world. So if we want to couple that playmaking and that, unique gifting that he's got throwing the football and be able to maximize it, he's just got to make more of the layups. He's got to see it. He's got to get it out. He's got to play a little bit more on time than he has, and that's where I think you'll see everything that Kyler Murray can be and where he can really take that jump. We've seen him in the MVP conversation a couple times, which obviously lets us know he's played at a high level, but usually early in the season and then it dips later in the season as, games become a little more pressurized and you're playing against the better teams, you're playing against the top teams in the league. It's harder to live in the playmaking world, and you've got to make more of those layups and make the game easier on yourself. And I think that's the next step for him.
Do you have to have all the weapons around you to basically gear down and be that game manager that can occasionally make the big play? I think of Steve Young. I think of some of the other great running / throwing quarterbacks when he realized, hey, look, I don't have to win the game by myself. Is that the next step for Kyle, you think, is to learn how to gear down and let those guys around him make the plays?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's part of it, but I think the biggest thing is just seeing and processing it. One thing that I believe, and again, this is just my speculation from the outside, but just kind of watching how the league has developed. Guys like Kyler that have always been the best athlete on the football field. When they're at, earlier stages in their careers, you don't have to learn to process kind of like I did. I was not the best athlete, so if I didn't process and get the ball to my playmakers, we weren't having success. For guys like, Kyler and Lamar and Josh and those guys, if they don't see it as quickly or process as quickly, they've always been able to bail themselves out with the playmaking and make great plays. But now you're playing against the best in the world. And it's harder to make, 15 or 20 special plays playmaking at this level. If you can get 3 or 4 a game, great. Now you've got to rely more on the processing. And I think a lot of these guys come into the league and they've never had to focus on that. And so that's the hard part. Justin Fields, I think, is another great example, is that he's done some great things in terms of making plays, and putting up some yards and what have you. But he struggled to play on time, and he was thrown in, I think, too early, and he was forced to try to be successful without ever being able to learn and sit back and grow in that processing part of it. And I think Kyler, although he has made some strides in that area, I think the same thing has kind of happened to him. He was thrown in early because he's so gifted and so talented, and now you're trying to play catch-up in terms of, growing in that area of seeing it, understanding it, throwing it on time, trusting the guys around you, anticipating throws. And so some of those guys, as great as they've been as playmakers and quarterbacks, they're still playing a little bit from behind because they were never really forced to do that part of it. And then, as I said, guys like myself or guys like a Brock or guys Joe Burrow, they never really relied on that athleticism as much. And so we're forced to do the processing, and that's where you see them a little bit ahead of some of these other guys.
Kurt, thank you for making some time for us, man, here. We always appreciate you, so thank you. Have a great week, and football is here, so we're ready to go.
Awesome. Always good to talk to you guys. I'm sure we'll catch up during the season.
You got it. Kurt Warner joining us. You follow him on X at Kurt13Warner. We could have spent an hour with him.
Easy.
I really think, and this isn't because he's a local guy and he's Cardinal and all that, I think he's, if not one of the best commentators in the business.
I would agree. And gotten better.
He has gotten so good. He always was good.
Yes.
But the fact that he just doesn't answer a question with one sentence, he breaks it down in so many different ways that I think everybody can relate to.
I always feel like I'm
smarter.
I feel like I'm in a doctoral class of quarterbacking 101 when Kurt's talking.
It's amazing. Good stuff. We'll continue on. It's Rock and Manoots with Jimmy B from Casino, Arizona.